So here's our peach tree, which is actually an apricot tree, as we established in the last update video. And as you can tell, I mean, it's looking awesome, isn't it? And lush. It's bounced back really good this spring. It's needing a massive prune because it's just going to get unwieldy. I should have pruned this back in winter. In fact, I should have pruned this last year and directed its growth a little bit, but with the move, having so much on, things just escape you. And it isn't just a simple thing of grabbing a pair of pruning shears and giving it a good prune back. I got to record it all for you guys. So the blame's on you. I'm blaming you guys, man. We just pruned back our cherries. Maybe that video is out already. And it was completely unscripted. So if you managed to get through all that waffle, here's another load of waffle for you. We're going to prune this back, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how deciduous trees, fruit trees in general, how they respond to that pruning, and what you want to be thinking about when you prune your tree, so you can kind of make the right decision. Fruit trees they're forgiving, so if you make little mistakes, it'll grow back. As long as you don't prune it right down here, don't do out too stupid, you should be all right, you know. So this has grown. We're going to have to give this a brutal cut back. And the thing is with deciduous trees, in winter, they go dormant, they drop all their leaves, and all the power, all the strength of the tree is gone to the root system. So you can give this a real good prune back in winter, and it doesn't stress out the plant too much. In summer, you'll get crazy growth come back. In fact, you might get as much growth as what you actually pruned in winter. And that was the traditional way of pruning fruit trees. They'd give them a real hard cut back in winter, and then you'd get mega growth in spring, and you'd get little fruit as a result, because the plant had been in survival mode. It's like, hey, I gotta replenish all this growth, and that's not what we want to do. In general, we want to be reserving our pruning for the end of June, which is about the midpoint in the year, in the annual growth cycle, called the summer solstice. And that's when we want to be doing our pruning in general, to keep our tree small, keep it healthy, so we get more growth and fruit production, and rather than more growth trying to recover what we pruned in winter. And really in winter, we want to be just reserving our pruning to the 3 Ds, the diseased, the dead, and the disorientated. Anything that's growing erratic and you know you don't want that branch there because it's in the wrong place. That's the only pruning in general you want to be doing in winter. Apart from the pruning we're going to be talking about in a second. And the summer pruning we want to be doing, heading our branches, controlling the growth, keeping our tree small. And the reason it keeps the tree small when you prune in summer is because you've got to think, in winter all the energy has gone into the root system. By the summer solstice in late June, most of that energy is transferred from the root system into the top part of the plant. So when we prune our plant back then, well, we're reducing its energy. And you might be thinking, whoa, that don't sound good, Greenthumb. We want this plant full of energy. It means more fruit. Well, I understand what you might be thinking, and that's what I would have thought before. If we're going to control our tree's growth, and especially if you've got your plant, you've got your little apricot tree or cherry tree or apple tree planted directly into your garden, because this applies to all deciduous fruit trees. You've got it planted in the garden, you don't control your growth that way and devigorate it by pruning in summer, then you're going to get wild, uncontrollable growth. You're going to end up with a 10, 12, 20-foot fruit tree that everybody hates. It might produce 2 tons of fruit. Tell me, why do you want 2 tons of fruit growing in your backyard? I know I ain't eating 2 tons of fruit. You'll end up with more fruit than you could possibly eat. Your friends are going to be sick of you coming around with kilos of fruit. In fact, you ain't even going to get the fruit because it's going to be that high up in the tree. It's going to be falling on the ground, causing fruit fly infestations. It's going to be hideous. Nobody wants a giant tree like that. You want a small fruit tree. And the height of the fruit tree wants to be no higher than you can reach with your hand. And the only way to do that, and forget the people saying, oh, well, that's why you need a semi-dwarf rootstock Greenthumb. Oh, that's why you want a dwarf. Get out of here with your semi-dwarf rootstock salesman. That ain't going to keep your tree small. It's a huge misconception. Semi-dwarf basically means it grows smaller than average. And say if your cherry tree on average can grow 28 foot, well, 25-foot cherry tree, 22-foot cherry tree will be classed as a semi-dwarf. Now that's a big semi-dwarf. That's still pretty big. And you can't rely on your rootstock being the only factor trying to keep your tree small. In fact, when you're choosing a tree and a rootstock, if you're buying a tree from the garden centre, you want a rootstock that is disease resilient, that is drought tolerant, that is good in waterlogged or clay soils. That's the aspects you want to be looking for in your rootstock, not the factor that it's a semi-dwarf or a dwarf. A dwarf's a complete rubbish. They only last 15 years and then they're done for. And then the top stock's gone as well because the rootstock's on its way out. You keep your tree small by timed pruning, and in general, we're going to be doing that timed pruning at the end of June when most of the plant's vigour and energy is up here. And it's basically like we're giving it a good winding and saying, hey, calm down, son. You've got way too much energy. I don't want a 28-foot fruit tree. I want a small one with a few fruit that I'm going to eat, be able to pick without these ridiculous sticks with little fingers on the end, and enjoy. So we want to be leaving our pruning until that time. If we had to prune in winter, then our tree, with all its energy locked up in the rootstock, as soon as spring breaks, it's just going to, boom, burst out, and there's no way you're going to control that growth. So we leave our pruning and shaping and controlling once the plant's woken up in spring and it's not in emergency mode because it's like, hey, where's my growth? I better just start growing. And then you're going to get less fruit as a result. So anyway, it's May now, and there's one winter prune that we need to do that's pretty severe on a young tree. We're not talking about old, mature, established trees. We're talking about a tree like this, like our cherry tree, that we need to do, and this is with all deciduous fruit trees. It applies to apple trees as well. What you want to do, and this is what we're going to attempt to do with this tree, even though we should have done it right at the end of winter, just before spring, because we need an enthusiastic response when we make this. They call it a scaffold prune. It's a very hard prune when we take our tree really far back, so it encourages it to grow those low fruiting branches they call scaffolds, and that we do actually in winter because we want the tree to bounce back enthusiastically and develop those low scaffolds. And that's the only time really we want to be pruning our tree back like that in winter, unless we're removing diseased branches, dead branches, or branches that are completely in the wrong location and we're making a structural change to our tree. Man, that's a lot of waffle. That is a lot of waffle. I don't know. Tell me if you want me to stick to a script in the future, because I'm just spewing out information here. So we need to make a serious decision with our tree, and I've removed a couple of branches down below. We want to keep our tree small, maybe 2 meters tops. So all this, we're going to get rid of it. And it is early in spring. It's May. Spring started, what, about a month ago? So I'm about a month late. Not too late though. There's still a lot of energy in this root system. By the end of June, most of that energy will be up here, and then it would be too late to do this pruning cut. But the earlier you make this pruning cut, the more enthusiastic the bounce back, the growth will be. But we're not too late. If I keep waffling on, it might be too late. It might be. I'm going to bring you a little bit closer so you can hopefully see what I can see. And I'm going to talk through some of the decisions and my thought process on what I'm thinking of when I make some of these brutal cuts. And hopefully it'll equip you. Oh, man. My cheek's gone to sleep. He's got bored of listening to me waffle on for 10 minutes. It's gone green for him. I'm off to bed. Wake me up. Wake me up when you're done. I've just been waffling on with the cherry tree video. So anyway, I'm going to bring you closely. Hopefully me explaining my thought process, what I'm thinking, will help you make decisions when it comes to you pruning back your cherry, your peach, your nectarine, apple tree, pear tree, whatever. Come on. So this is the base of our tree. And I'm looking at this branch here. Don't forget, I'm keeping my tree in a pot, so I don't need my tree to be off the ground so high. I can make my first fruiting branch a lot lower. But if you had this in the ground, you want to be having your first fruiting branch about knee high, maybe just below the knee. But mine isn't going to be that high. So I'm looking at this. This could be a nice fruiting branch, which I can then chop her back about here. About maybe here. A third of the way down. We obviously get rid of that fella there. And that could be another nice fruiting branch. Look, another nice option. Opposite side. We're going for an open vase. So basically we want the centre to be open, with all the branches coming out like that. That'll get maximum light penetration in the middle. Cherries, apricots, all your stone fruits are quite susceptible to fungus. And an open vase style helps to keep the tree dry because there's a lot of air movement. The sunlight can penetrate all your inner branches, which means then it'll dry quicker as well, and there'll be less chance for fungus to get a hold. So what you want is, it wants to be at an angle, like almost like you would have your thumb. Colour and everything, the grain of the wood makes this a lot harder and a lot better to bear any weight in the future. So I like this option. That looks pretty good. You're going to think I'm a brutal monster when you see how much we take this back, but I'm going to get rid of that. When we want to get rid of something, it's better just to go ahead and do it, and that'll free up our vision so we kind of see where we're going. So we've got 2 fruiting branches there. We're going to get rid of him like that. That's that gone. We've got a couple of dormant buds here. Look, we've got one there. Let me give you a closer look. Here you can see there's one there, one here, one there, one there. That could give us some nice options to grow in this direction. Maybe this one here. And then that would give us 3 nice scaffolds pointing at different directions. Yeah, I like that. Obviously you can't see it now, you have to see it in your imagination. right there, look. See that little bud? See that bud there? So we're going to head this right back now. When we do, we just want to be above the bud, not right on it so as to damage the bud. Just about there, at an angle. And that angle then will stop water accumulating on the top, stuff like that. There's a bud on the other side. There we are, look. Wow. Okay, so I ain't going to head this branch yet. I'm going to let that grow out plenty first. Maybe I'll just head this though. I'm going to let that grow out, and that'll encourage this branch to thicken up as it has to hold weight like we see on the other side. And I'm going to cut this back even further. I'm going to cut it about there, like that. We'll take him back as well. In the next couple of weeks, we'll see these buds break out. It'll not be only that bud, but it'll be these dormant ones as well. I bet you're thinking, I bet some of you thinking, what are you doing, Greenthumb, you nutter? You've massacred that tree. But it's got to be done, man. If we want to cultivate this tree and make it grow correctly, this is the way. This is the way. What we're going to see is this bud will be breaking out in the next couple of weeks. That's going to give us a nice bit of growth. Imagine this. Imagine, hey, just a second. Just to help you guys, weak imaginations. This is what we're going to have, not in 2 weeks. You see it now? So this is gonna, we're gonna obviously then continue to prune it, get rid of this. We want it to keep growing that way. Always out. We always want to be pruning it out as we see branches like this one developing, that's going into the centre. We'll be getting rid of any growth that's going into the centre because we want to keep the centre free. It needs to be open. Looking pretty good. I think with three branches it'll be good, and they're all pretty equal, pretty equally split. We're going to get buds breaking out further down here too. When you chop and head the tree like this, hormone balances change in the tree. There's hormones in the tree that keep the growth at the top, keeps it growing tall, but when we chop it back like this, that hormonal change happens, and then dormant buds that are down below get activated and start growing. And well, it'll be interesting to see how this is doing. I've been needing to do this for a little while now. In fact, I need to stake it, don't I? Because it needs to be a little straighter, and it's really getting on my nerves. That's it. There we go, like that. That'll help it grow a little more straight. This, I'd not mind this branch just being a little lower, just a little bit more like that. I'm happy with that prune. If you've got more than one tree to do, make sure you disinfect your shears after with a bit of alcohol. That way you're less likely to transmit diseases, fungus pathogens and whatnot over to your other trees. That's it. Well, let me know what you guys think in your comments. Let me know how you're getting on with your fruit tree, your stone fruit that you grew from seed, whether it's a peach, if it's a real peach, not an apricot like this one turned out to be, your cherries, apples, whatever. Let me know in the comments, or post me a picture on Twitter, or join our Discord server. You can post pictures in there as well once you've leveled up. It's been fun, guys, catching up with you, showing you our awesome apricot tree get knocked down a couple of pegs. And well, I'll see you guys in the future. If you want to support the channel, the content that I'm making, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel. You can share this video or like it with your friends, and that helps the channel out tremendously. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.